Hi everyone, I'm Zephyr, and today we're going to be talking really about it's our week 15 thing today, and it's a 69th episode, and we're really excited to be putting it up today. And so I'm Zephyr Togo. I go to Lindisfarne up here in New South Wales, and I'm in year 7 at my school. And so the theme for this week is mentors, not saviors. And it means that even though you have your mentor, your mentor is not everything for you. And what I really want to get out of hosting today is just I'm really happy to be hosting today. And I'm just gonna give it over to our second host.
Thanks for that introduction, Zeph. Well done, mate. We also have Steph Beck co-hosting today. So you want to say hi, Steph?
Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Steph, and I'm co-hosting alongside Bobby and also Zephyr today. I like that comment that you made that mentors aren't everything for you, because there's a certain amount of hard work that other people can't do for you to achieve your goals. So yeah, really excited to talk to our guests today to unlock some of those learnings for her. And I don't know if this is a fact, but I think you might be our youngest host on Imagi-Nation TV. So well done on doing that. We'll have to check that out for you. Back to you, Bobby.
Thanks for that, Steph. Well done again, Zeph. Yeah, look, on yesterday's show, we had was our mentee show. We had 180 seconds of wizardry with Vanessa Ellis. We had failure time, and the show just was, it just took off. And today, our show should be just the same today. Today we have Belinda Duarte, who's a creator, who's a CEO for Culture of Life. We have Leandra Gekamangu, who's a creator and founder of Leandra Swimwear. And we also have actor, writer, and director Socrates Otto with us today. So, it should be a great show, and we're looking forward to all the comments coming through. Right now, we're just gonna push it on over to a short video about what pays your rent and mine.
So today we have Zoe she's our hoodie connector. And Zoe, why are you a hoodie connector?
We got a little technical difficulty with Zoe, but Zoe's one of our hoodie connectors. And she felt like being involved, like she lost her job, during COVID-19. So she felt like it was a great opportunity to give something back and to also stay connected with AIM, which is a fantastic thing. Would you agree with that, Zeph?
Yeah, I really would. And it's always really important as one of our hoodie connectors. And yeah.
Yeah, nah, that's all right. Like being like you said, like it's important being a hoodie connector because we it's an act of kindness and it shows people that here at AIM we're gonna be here for our people. So I'd agree with that, Zephyr. Steph, you got any thoughts on Zoe and Hoodie Connection?
Yeah, just really sorry we didn't get to hear your story today, Zoe. Maybe if we had some kind of sign language that we could have done, we might have been able to work it out. But thanks so much for jumping in on the initiative. It's I think, like with social enterprise, it could be a new way to work with building the economy where people aren't a slave to 9-to-5 jobs as well. So that's a really exciting thing that could come out of it as well. So thanks for all the work that you're doing.
Sensational. Yeah, look, I like the way that we're trying to pick up the pieces when stuff happen that's out of our control. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing, Zeph, and we're gonna be fine. I think I may have made a mistake when I was introducing Belinda. Um, but I've done some homework on Belinda, and like I'd like to introduce Belinda Duarte. Um, she's, I'm sorry, stumbling on here a bit. Uh, Belinda, that's what happens when mistakes happen. My apologies, Belinda, but we'll get there. Yeah, so Belinda is a Wajabaluk, Jaja Warong descendant. And yeah, I'll let you introduce yourself, Belinda, and you can tell us a bit about yourself.
No worries. Thanks, Bobby. Just a shout out to Acknowledge Country. I'm on Modwadam country here, down on the coast at Ocean Grove. Just want to pay my deepest respect to the mob here, traditional owners here, and whatever country. I know that there's a lot of us everywhere and all over the place across Australia, and no doubt tuning in from different locations globally. Given the work of AIM, you're doing amazing stuff. So congratulations to you all. I'm, as Bobby mentioned, my matriarchal country is Watchabalak country, northwest Victoria. Djadjarung, central Victoria through my great-grandfather, but also got the blessing of Polish and Celtic roots. What I'm most passionate about really is just seeing people thrive and our mob thrive. And, it's one of those things that, particularly for young people, some of the challenges and the issues that we face in our communities across the country as First Peoples of Australia are pretty confronting when you look at suicide rates and our self-harm and mental health issues. So what we do is back our mob doing work with young people in different sites, particularly around how critical culture is in making us feel really connected, strong, anchored, and as a really critical protective factor for us, in our own communities across the country.
Yeah. So Belinda, what landed you on our show today?
Wow. I'm not quite sure all the links and mixes, but a couple of board members that have been on the AIM board have, and one in particular is our co-chair in Jason Eads, who was on the AIM board. Mayra Sonta's been involved in some of our work, particularly our campaign work around education and advocacy, and particularly the voice of young Aboriginal people, and what culture means to them, or some things, and particularly say January 26, how that affects well-being and belonging within Australia, and pretty much spearheads some of those issues, particularly around what impact does discrimination, racism, a sense of belonging, and ensuring that our our environment say to us that we are critical to the landscape of this country. And yeah, so one of the pieces of work that we've done is particularly around January 26, and it's time to change. But more recently, the My Australian Dream campaign, and I'd encourage people to reach out on our links on our social platforms at Culture is Life. We'd love to hear more about, you know, some of the young people out there that are tuning in and what their Australian dream is, particularly given the experience of Adam Goodes and how he challenged the nation to really rethink about how they relate to us as First Peoples here in Australia.
Wonderful, wonderful. Zeph, you got any questions for Belinda?
So, Belinda, what really wanted to make you become what you've accomplished?
Wow, Zeph, you know, first of all, I just want to say hats off. How deadly to have you mob hosting this and leading the conversation. Our young people's voices are critical. You guys are going to be leading and creating an environment for my little girl and my nieces and nephews. So hats off for the great work you do. I had a former life as a track and field athlete, Zeph. And, you know, as a young girl being raised on Wadwurrung country in Ballarat, what my dream was to represent the country. And I finished as a track and field athlete, as a heptathlete, loved it. But I always felt unbelievably passionate about standing up and social justice, particularly for our mob. And so each step I've taken has been because I felt compelled to speak. I felt compelled to do something. And we know it in our bodies, right? When something really matters to us, you can feel it. And over the journey, I feel like I've been blessed with people and mentors that have seen something in me and encouraged me to keep stepping forward and challenge myself. So I've tried to take the philosophy of athletics and placing myself in environments that I feel completely uncomfortable, but I know that I'm actually going to grow from. And that's one thing as a track athlete that I will forever be blessed for, and will continue to do that to help myself grow. So when we go back to the theme of mentors, not saviours, you know, for me, mentors over my journey were people that saw something in me and reminded me of who I was, and encouraged me to step into, you know, the fullest and best version of me at different points, even though I would be scared as hell.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, thanks for that, Belinda. We may come back to you later on. Next, we'd like to introduce Leandra Gaykamungu. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hello. My name is Leandra Gaykamungu, and I am a Yolngu woman from Northeast Arnhem Land. My family are all from up around Millingimby, Rummingining, and yeah, that's a little bit about who I am and where I come from. I am the creative director and founder of swimwear label Leandra Swim, and basically I decided to create something that would highlight the versatility, resilience, and brilliance of Indigenous Australian culture and people. In particular, my swimwear work to celebrate Indigenous women and share the positive narratives around what Indigenous women are doing, not just in their communities, but on a national level and on a global level as well. So each of our swimwear pieces are named after different inspirational and groundbreaking Indigenous women that go out to our customers. They get to read a little bio so they can learn more about what Indigenous women, the impacts, the positive impacts that they're having on, you know, the broader community and world. And each of our signature prints are a representation of my Aboriginal culture in a more modern twist. And so that's sort of what I do and what Leandra Swim is all about in a little nutshell.
Nutshells are good. The nutshells are good. Nice little snippets. So with our theme this week, mentors not saviors, is there a link between mentors not saviors and design with what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that especially through, how we name our swimwear, my goal is to create a grassroots movement between my brand, Leandra Swim, and also the woman that's wearing the piece. My goal is to create a new set or a new awareness around Indigenous, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women that are great mentors, are doing amazing things, and starting those conversations in the home where they're organic, where they're authentic, and yeah.
No, okay, yeah, no, that's fantastic. Being trying to take care of our young people and young Indigenous women in particular is a wonderful thing. Steph, you got any thoughts on that?
I think it's incredible what you're doing, Leandra. One of the key learnings that's coming through from the shows that we're having on how to create change is storytelling and just sharing your story to create a new narrative and understanding of other people. So having that mixed with also this incredible product where you're using recycled plastic from the ocean is amazing. And I really just take my hats off to you because I saw some of your stuff online this morning. I thought it was incredible. I also saw, like earlier on, after you did a trade show, you're approached by somebody they asked if you wanted to be in like a tourist shop, and you kind of pushed back on that, and you were like, no, this is designer wear, this is quality.
Yeah.
So like, just how important is that self-belief to you and what you're doing, and what other opportunities did that lead to?
Yeah, so I suppose flipping back to that, one of the really big points of why I started this brand on a personal level is, I grew up surfing, I grew up at the beach, I grew up with a million pieces of swimwear. But the other thing that I also was aware of is the stereotypes and where Indigenous Australia was being represented, or where we were almost allowed to be viewed and experienced. And I felt like that was very heavily, in in the tourism industry, and as well in art galleries. So I wanted to be able to say that, we're very versatile. Our culture is versatile. We can be anywhere, and we can be celebrated and experienced through different, mediums. And that's when I landed on fashion. So yeah, and pushing back on that was, it just sort of proved my point, I suppose, to myself. And I'm the kind of person that you can tell me not to do something, and I'll purposely do the opposite until it works, and I'll make it work.
Nice, a little bit of rebellion always goes a long way. And
Yeah.
thanks for pushing those doors open. Like Belinda said, like the reason that I do what I do is because I have children and nieces, and my niece has a child, which also makes me a grandma. So it's for the other kids. So you're opening doors for the younger generation to come through. So thanks for all the work that you're doing.
Yeah. I feel you down the grandma thing too. I've got about 30 nieces and nephews, so I understand.
Is that all? Only 30? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm one of seven. I'm one of seven. I'm the baby. So yeah, we've got a lot of kids.
Well done. The baby making noise. The baby making noise. Thanks for that, Leandra. Next guest is Socrates Otto. He's one of our country's most versatile actors, writers, directors, in the TV and film industry. So I'll pass it over to Socrates, and he can introduce himself.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks, Bobby, for that intro. And thanks, Steph and Zephyr. And Zephyr, props, the youngest host of Imagi-Nation Tv so far. That's that's awesome. And also, how wonderful to hear and share the panel with Belinda and Leandra. You girls are inspirational, just hearing your tales. So Bobby, thanks for that introduction. My name's Socrates Otto. I'm an actor. I've been an actor for about 20 years. Here in Australia and also overseas. I'm also a writer and a director, and I call myself a coach, an acting coach, but it's kind of extended to the point where now I like to kind of have discussions and conversations about mental health a lot of the time in all my work, and demystifying the language around it and normalizing those conversations, especially things that are often deemed a bit taboo, especially towards minorities. My whole emphasis is to kind of resuscitate potential, and that's what's really inspiring me to continue with all my work from here on in.
Let's stay with that. I
Yeah.
heard in your dialogue just now that you said you were a coach, and like I'm a basketball coach too, so like I'm always dealing with kids and what have you. Even in my work now, I love working with my young people. So
Yeah.
as a coach, how do you tie in not being a savior and being a mentor? How do you tie that?
Yeah, I think, Bobby, for me, and I think it stems back to me as a kid. Often I was silenced. In fact, I was bullied for a number of years, and I stopped going to school. And I felt like I didn't have any voice. And I felt like I was often spoken down to and told I didn't belong and I would never amount to anything. And therefore, I kind of found my mentors through a lot of artists who were deemed as underdogs as well, writers, painters who didn't have a voice but were minorities. And it made me feel like I wasn't alone and that I could share in that conversation. So the way I coach or the way I teach, and I've had students from 16 years old to 70 years old as well, is that I ensure that the conversation has no ego whatsoever and that we're equals, that I can certainly learn from them. In fact, I'm often wanting to learn from them, from the people that I speak to, that I coach, and to really encourage their voice, to make sure that I'm listening to exactly what they're saying, and to really kind of distill it to its core essence, to kind of eradicating fear and eradicating a lot of noise that we often hear through media, through whatever stereotype, through whatever kind of bullying we've been indoctrinated with, and to really get to the core of them and to kind of say, I'm here for you, I'm going to support you, and I'm going to encourage you to to lead as well, and that seems to really ignite their soul, and I see the spark, and it reminds me of me when I was younger, and that's what made me kind of go, you know what, I actually do belong here, and I do have a voice, and I do have a story to tell, and I can inspire, and I can be inspired. It never stops. It keeps me young, actually.
Hey, we got to do what we got to do to stay young. Definitely got to do. Hey, Zephyr, we got some comments coming through on that. So you want to read those?
Sure, I'll have a go. So, everyone's really loving seeing Bobby, Steph, and me hosting today, and everyone says, Belinda, you're really a Wonder Woman, and everyone's so excited to see you on the show today.
Oh, that's just beautiful, Zeph. You know what's so cute about that? My little girl calls me Wonder Woman. She bought me a Wonder Woman cup. Yeah. Can I very quickly say, I feel so bad. My beautiful cousin's on the board, Taryn Marks, but so she was the direct link, but I was trying to sort of talk to my linkage to AIM, and some of my nieces and nephews had the blessing of being to work. So, I just want to acknowledge how brave, dynamic, creative AIM is and the work that you do. It touches so many of our mob, and, to be in here and have that presence of other beautiful people, really and I just feel absolutely blessed to have an opportunity to yarn.
And that's really amazing, Belinda. Everyone's also saying, Socrates, they're really stoked that you're here, says Brandon. Brandon's left a lot of wonderful comments. And yeah.
Well, the feeling's mutual. It's exactly what Belinda said. This kind of yarn with this kind of energy, it's transferring, and it's really special. It's really special. Talking and conversing heals. everything. I really believe that. So thank you.
And Brandon's also said to you, Socrates, what's the hardest thing you've experienced?
Probably being bullied, and silenced Zephyr, I was your age. I was 12, and I stopped going to school, and it was quite vicious. So it's kind of picking, and those things. This is also, Bobby, why when I mentor people, and I kind of I don't try and save them and give them the solution, but I kind of just tell my story and say that and kind of illuminate the consequences, the far-reaching consequences of bullying, because that stuff sticks with you, and it's about learning how to manage it and how to not let it suffocate you. So for me, Zephyr, that was the biggest thing for me to kind of go, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I feel this small, and to kind of rebuild myself through my mentors to achieve what I've achieved in my life, and to always remain as compassionate, as generous, as grateful, and like I said, inspired by seeing and hearing so many different stories. It's so bullying was for me, and that's why I kind of now focus the rest of my life on eradicating that and helping kids, anyone, through it.
That's really nice, Socrates. So Brandon, there's your answer. And I find it really nice that you've had mentors in your life, and now you are one, and you're helping other children get through what you've been.
Totally. It's it makes life so rich. You know, you guys are the future. It's what Belinda said. You guys are the future. What you're doing is incredible. I take my hat off to you.
Yeah, I'll just give this next one to Steph.
Thanks, Zephyr. Awesome line of questioning as well. I do have a couple burning questions, and I'd like to start with Belinda. I definitely know that some of the work that you're involved in, as well as being inspiring when you look at the stats, it can be pretty heavy on the heart. I just want to know what you think the best way to eliminate saviorism in that space to get good outcomes for the kids that you work with. I think it's a hope and love campaign is one of them that you're running.
Look, that the campaign, and what I love about the Love and Hope campaign, we were a part of something that facilitated a workshop for young people, and those young people really came. Sorry, my daughter's just walked in. I can't.
Hi, Mandy, we're talking. They're about to use drills and hammers.
Okay, thank you for the heads up, sweetie. I'm in the middle of something. Well, welcome to holiday time in the house. If there is drills, there is some stuff happening in the background. My sincere apologies. I'm a little bit lost in the mix there. The Love and Hope campaign was a workshop.
It's okay, Belinda. You're Wonder Woman. You can multitask, Belinda.
Oh my God, my daughter. Anyway, young people, they shared their views. The workshop was a music mentoring workshop. And how critical love and hope is, not only in how we support and see each other, but the environments that we create. So whether it's schools, home environments, communities, how through our own challenges where love and hope actually can build possibilities for any person, and particularly our young people. I do want to go back to listening to yourselves, listening to what you know in your heart of hearts. What's those feelings that come up that you don't quite know what to do with, and that's the opportunity that the likes of mentors and people that you love and trust, that you can get that out of yourself. Speak it out, because once it's out, at least it can be shared and worked through. Where we think about how we can be loving and reach out to people that we know aren't doing well is really critical. So please, through your own actions of self-love, never, ever, ever think that you are alone. Never. Because there is always somebody there. And if you don't feel safe with the immediate people in your family, there are networks, and there are contact numbers, whether it's local AMSs, Aboriginal medical services or Lifeline or Kids Helpline, please reach out if you don't feel good and have those conversations, because you are the most sacred things, and you know, being a part of the oldest living culture of the world, and some young people that will have their own cultural history, that is so critical to who we are in the fabric of society. And you've got a unique offering and gift that we just want to see. It's the best thing you can give to everybody.
That's such a beautiful message, and I love the point of listening to yourself. I've had a couple of hard years, and I've had to make some decisions where no one else could do it, and it was there was no answers provided. I had to find the right answer within myself as well, and just trust that I was making the right decision. And mentors definitely played a huge role for me over the last couple of years. So thanks for that amazing message. I felt like you're talking directly to me. I also have a question for Leandra. Whenever I do these shows, I try and sort of pull out some really practical advice for the kids that we're working with. And as an entrepreneur, do you have any advice for young people that are thinking of taking up something in the design industry?
Yeah, I think that definitely, you know, you'll be amazed at how many people do want to help you. So going off what Bianca said, you know, don't be scared to reach out to somebody if you've been following them on Instagram or, you know, social media, or you know someone. Don't be scared to ask, hey, can you help me? You know, there's so much advice and so much help there on offer, and you'll be surprised at how amazing the community is, not just the design and, you know, community in fashion, but also the community in entrepreneurship and in business. I mean, I've got friends that aren't in fashion that have given me a wealth of knowledge on just how to run and own a business, which I think, you know, comes first and foremost. Yeah, I get to be creative and I'm in a more creative industry, but those are really important to understand. You know, you don't want to, you know, you need to know if you're wanting to stick around for a few years and not just be sort of a one-hit wonder in a sense. Definitely don't be scared to ask, you know, somebody to have a conversation. The other thing that I think is really, really important is going off what Belinda said, you need to, stay close to what that vision is that you had. You know, what is that goal? Set those long-term goals, set those short-term goals, and put in the steps to actually get there. It's not going to happen overnight, and you know, it's not going to be easy. But if you put in the groundwork day to day, week to week, you know, you'll start coming towards those goals. One of the biggest things that I'm a huge believer in, I'm also a high school teacher by, you know, my other life. And so I cannot, you know, push enough how important education is. And I don't mean just education in a classroom. I mean all types of education, you know, taking that beyond the classroom. If, you know, classroom environment isn't where you feel most comfortable, that's fine. You know, you can access resources from all over, from different people, through, you know, conversation, through the internet. Read a book instead if that's what you're more comfortable doing. There's so many ways for you to be able to access education, and now with, you know, the 21st century, and there's so much knowledge at your fingertips. Use it. You know, arm yourself as much education and knowledge as possible, so then you know how to make some of those tough decisions down the track, or you know how to deal with, you know, a situation that arises that you weren't, you know, going to predict, for example. Build a strong network of people around you that aren't just going to always tell you what you want to hear, but are going to help you with, you know, constructive criticism. I'm really lucky that I have that around me, that, you know, I'm able to call on different people for different opinions, to get you know, different views. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, great view. I think sometimes we look at education as just being inside the schoolyard instead of having like this holistic approach, because we can learn everywhere in the world. I also love that you said
especially in our communities.
Yeah, definitely. You also mentioned like don't be scared to reach out, and that's not always an easy thing to do. I'm going to link this to some work that Socrates actually does with demystifying fear. And like we know that fear of failure and change can sometimes paralyze us. So what what are some practical things that, or how do you demystify fear so that we can get on the other side of that?
How do you
Yeah, how do I
demystify?
demystify? Oh, is that for me or for Socrates? Sorry.
We can share,
Sorry,
Leandra. We can share.
Definitely can share.
You can give me the answer.
No, I don't have the answer. I'm one of those people that I've just got to pull the trigger and hope it works out. That's my demystifying.
Well, that's it. That's all. I agree, Leandra. I agree with me. It's kind of like fear can cripple you. Fear can cripple you, and it can actually make you even more lonely. And going on what Belinda was saying about how, you know, loneliness and all those kind of suicidal stats. For me, loneliness is the worst place on earth, and being crippled by fear and a manifestation of other people's fear. You know, we've got one life. So what Leandra said, pull the trigger and you know, jump. So I kind of go, let's tackle it head on. And 99% of the time when I have, all the fear has kind of eroded, and I've discovered so many different things. Whether or not, you know, I fall and I got to pick myself up again, it's so much better to be active and going forward than kind of just procrastinate and be crippled by something that doesn't really exist in a sense, Steph. Our fear is kind of a figment of our imagination or someone's projected fear, do you know? And going back to everything you said, holistic, education's holistic, Belinda and Leandra, about talking. For me, it's just talking. It's actually having the conversation with someone you trust to kind of go, I'm scared. And as soon as you do, that's when it starts to erode away. Yeah, that's
yeah, you find those little things that you didn't know that you're capable of. So it builds your self-belief along the way. Yeah,
exactly. It's talking. It's talking.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
That's it.
That
for
was
me.
amazing, everyone. Does anyone else have any questions for our other people on the panel?
Yeah, I have a question, and this question is for Socrates. Of your three roles, Robert Robertson, Maxine Conway, and Justin Comedy, which one of those three was your favorite, and why?
Probably playing Maxine Conway, who was a transgender character in the show Wentworth, a prison drama. And again, Maxine represented a minority. It was about 4 years ago, I think, when she came on screen, and a lot of the dialogue around trans people wasn't really potent. So we were very unsure of what trans meant, especially here in Australia. So that broke a lot of stereotypes, and a lot of people around the world, all ages, all sexualities, all genders, contacted me and said, thank you for that representation, because it made me feel less alone. It's made me feel less alone and less like I don't have a voice. So that, you know, and also playing, you know, as an actor, playing something that you would never imagine playing was a, you know, going back to Steph, it was very scary, but I thought, you know, I can't not tackle this and kind of uncover what this means. So for various reasons, Bobby, I'd say Maxine from Wentworth was my favorite. The reach.
That's amazing, Socrates. I'm just going to interrupt here because a question from one of our comments was really good, and I feel like it needs to be shared. Brandon has said, fear does make us lonely, and can someone share a story of how you got out? Or maybe you, Socrates, because you've been there.
And hold you represent can do to someone's psychology. We all know that. We all know that with what happens, you know, with what's happening right now around the world with the Black Lives Matter movement. Being told that you don't belong and you're lesser than can really harm you, and you can think about, you know, ending your life. So I knew that within I had a spark, you know, because I grew up so happy. And I grew up such a bundle of light, and I love the arts, and I love creativity, I love music, but I was silenced for whatever reason growing up. And I was so scared. I was made to feel so scared about my life and who I was. You know, there was a lot of judgment involved, even self-judgment and hatred that came in. But I knew the spark inside was saying, no, 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 hang on. There's something more there. There's something more there. So for me, Zephyr, it's not one story. It's just a culmination of a time in my life where I was so overwhelmed by fear that I kind of went into a ball, and I thought I wouldn't be here until I started to talk about it. And it was terrifying. It was terrifying. But it was from one person to another, made me feel like I was less alone and that I had potential to be here. I needed to be here. I had worth to be here. And slowly I just grew, and I kind of reconnected with that spark in my youth that said, yeah, you're special, you know? Which I try and do now to people, because we all are equal. We're all equal, and we all belong. We all got a voice, you know?
Yeah, I'll just pass this on to Bobby.
Thanks for that, Zeph. Before we wrap up, I'll just read one more comment. And I think, like Belinda, Leandra, and Socrates yourself, this comment came from Janaea Ward. Great advice, ask questions, build your visions, and learn as much as you can. And I felt like everything you three shared today was inspirational for our young people that we're working with and working for. So I'd like to thank you three for that.
Thank you, Bobby. I do want to do a quick shout out, if that's okay, with some of the work that that is happening with Cultures Life on our Aboriginal-led activity. You know, the thing that what we know is when our people work in our communities and provide safe places for our young people to feel valued, and particularly, you know, whether it's affirm, rekindle, revitalise, provide platforms where their cultural expression is at their fullest, that they can feel, you know, truly, I guess, the fullest version of themselves. And, you know, in saying that, going back to what was being talked about with fear and feeling lonely, the most freeing experience is being able to love who you are. And it sounds, you know, sometimes for me, to love yourself was seen as the wrong thing to be. And this is about, you know, actually paying homage and the best, most deepest respect to the people who have gone before you, because they lived and they survived and they chose to keep getting up and, you know, expressing platforms. And, you know, for Socrates, you know, in his artistic expression, and this beautiful creative woman in her business and entrepreneurial expression of herself through that work, where we can find our self-freedom in our work, and that's the commitment that we hope when we back our projects on the ground, is that those environments, those cultural entrepreneurs that do work with our young people, that they create the platform for our young people to be the fullest version of themselves. So thanks for having me today, and what a pleasure it's been to just hear and listen to some outstanding humans in the mix. And to those young people out there listening, you know, just take that moment always to remember the people that have gone before you, and the whispers that they say to you when you may be alone and you may not be feeling able to speak. You know, take those moments, listen to them, and be brave enough to move forward and talk through and take those actions you need.
Thank you for that, Belinda.
Yeah, I would just like to jump in really quickly as well and say, if anybody is thinking about starting a business or anything in that space, it doesn't have to be just in, you know, the fashion industry. Please feel free to reach out. I might not have all the answers, but I have a great network of people that I am, you know, friends with, and that I know that I can always help connect you with the, you know, people that might be able to be more valuable to you. That might not be today, might not be in 6 months' time, it might be 3 years down the track, please don't be scared to message or, send me an email or whatever it is. I'd always be happy to help and have a conversation. And yeah, at least try and point you in the right direction.
Thank you, Leandra. Zeph, we might throw it back over to you and, give us a highlight from today. I know we had a lot of fantastic information, a lot of useful information, a lot of inspiring information. Give us something that really grabbed you today. And then after you do that, you can close up the show.
Well, I loved the whole show. I love everyone's story here is really amazing. And Pretties, I love that you're a writer, director, actor. It's really amazing. Leandra, I'm sure your art is beautiful. And you're the Wonder Woman, you're becoming a symbol for everyone. And we'll love you here.
Thanks, Zeph.
So my main highlight was just being here. It's my third time being on the show, second time co-hosting, and be here. And I guess that's the end of episode 69, week 15. Bye, everyone.